Elon Musk, the renowned tech billionaire, made a rather abrupt announcement. On Wednesday, May 28, 2025, he took to his own social media platform, X. He informed the world of his decision. Musk was stepping down from his advisory role within the Trump administration. His time in Washington, D.C. was officially over. This was not a quiet departure, it was a public declaration characteristic of Musk's often direct and unfiltered communication style. The news rippled through political and tech circles almost immediately. Many wondered what had prompted this sudden move. The reasons, it would soon become clear, were rooted in fundamental disagreements. Musk had not been a mere bystander in the administration. He was tasked with a significant, if not Herculean, challenge. He led the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, often referred to by its acronym, DOGE. This department was established right at the beginning of President Trump's current term. Its creation signaled an intent to tackle a perennial problem, government waste. Musk, known for his ambitious projects and relentless drive in the private sector, seemed like an unconventional choice, yet he embraced the role with his typical zeal. He brought an outsider's perspective to the labyrinthine corridors of federal bureaucracy, promising to streamline operations. The primary goal set for Musk and DOGE was monumentally ambitious. He aimed to slash federal spending by an astounding $1 trillion. This was not a minor trim, it was a figure designed to make a statement, to fundamentally alter the government's financial trajectory. Musk believed that significant inefficiencies were ripe for cutting. He intended to apply business principles to governmental operations. His supporters hoped he could achieve what so many others had failed to do. The task, however, proved far more complex than perhaps even he had anticipated. The machinery of government, with its entrenched interests and complex regulations, presented formidable obstacles to such drastic reductions. Despite his efforts, Musk fell short of this lofty $1 trillion target. The primary reason cited for this shortfall was not a lack of trying. Instead, it stemmed from profound disagreements over impending legislation. The very legislative agenda he was meant to support, in his view, undermined his department's core mission. He found himself increasingly at odds with the direction the administration was taking on fiscal matters. Musk often described his experience in government as an uphill battle. The federal bureaucracy, he discovered, was a different kind of beast compared to the tech world. It was a system resistant to rapid change, a stark contrast to the agile environments of SpaceX or Tesla. The catalyst for Musk's resignation was a piece of legislation championed by President Trump himself. It was dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill. This rather optimistic title belied the contentious nature of its contents. Musk did not mince words in his criticism. He openly attacked the plan, arguing that it would have severe negative consequences for the nation's finances. His primary contention was that, far from promoting fiscal responsibility, the bill was essentially a massive spending bill. This put him in direct opposition to the president he was advising. It was a bold stance, one that made his continuation in the administration untenable. Musk's critique centered on the bill's impact on the federal deficit. He argued vehemently that the proposed legislation would significantly increase this deficit. This directly contradicted the very purpose of his Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE was created to find savings, to make government leaner. Yet, here was a flagship bill that, in Musk's assessment, would do the exact opposite. He saw it as a step backward, a move that would negate any progress made in curbing federal expenditures. The irony was not lost on him, or on those observing the unfolding drama. His department was supposed to champion efficiency, not witness its erosion through new legislative measures. The Big Beautiful Bill itself was a complex package. It included several key components that drew Musk's ire. Among its most prominent features were significant tax cuts. While often popular, these cuts, without corresponding deep spending reductions elsewhere, would inevitably reduce government revenue. Furthermore, the bill proposed measures for enhanced immigration enforcement. These measures, too, would require substantial government outlay. Musk looked at the totality of the bill and saw a recipe for increased national debt. He viewed the numbers not through a political lens, but through the pragmatic lens of a CEO responsible for a bottom line. The figures, as he saw them, simply did not add up. The conflict was clear. Musk's mandate was to cut $1 trillion. The administration's legislative priority, however, seemed poised to add trillions more to the national debt. This fundamental disagreement over fiscal policy became the breaking point. It wasn't just a minor policy squabble, it was a clash over the fundamental direction of the government's financial stewardship. For Musk, a man accustomed to driving his vision forward relentlessly, this impasse was unacceptable. He had come to Washington with a mission, and if the prevailing political winds made that mission impossible, then his continued presence served little purpose. His resignation underscored the deep divisions over spending and deficits. The concerns voiced by Elon Musk were not merely his own opinion. They found backing in the sober assessments of the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO. The CBO, a nonpartisan agency, provides economic and budgetary analysis to Congress. Its projections are widely respected and often serve as a critical benchmark in legislative debates. When the CBO examined President Trump's big beautiful bill, its findings were stark. The agency projected that the tax changes embedded within the legislation would dramatically increase the federal deficit. This added a significant layer of credibility to Musk's public criticisms, moving them beyond mere personal disagreement. The numbers from the CBO were indeed eye-watering. The agency estimated that the bill's proposed tax alterations would inflate the deficit by a staggering $3.8 trillion over the course of a decade. This figure painted a grim picture of the nation's future fiscal health if the bill passed as written. To put it in perspective, this projected increase was nearly 4 times the amount Musk had been tasked with cutting from the federal budget. It highlighted the immense challenge of achieving fiscal consolidation when new policies were simultaneously pushing the deficit in the opposite direction. The scale of this projected increase was a major point of contention for fiscal conservatives. In an attempt to mitigate this ballooning deficit, the legislative plan did include some spending cuts. These cuts were intended to partially offset the financial impact of the tax reductions and new expenditures. The proposed spending reductions amounted to approximately $1 trillion over the same 10-year period. While a substantial sum in its own right, it was dwarfed by the projected $3.8 trillion deficit increase. This meant that even if these cuts were fully realized, the net effect of the bill would still be a massive surge in the national debt. This imbalance was at the heart of Musk's frustration and the concerns of many fiscal hawks. Despite the inclusion of these proposed spending cuts, many watchdog groups remained deeply skeptical. These organizations, dedicated to monitoring government accountability and fiscal responsibility, expressed serious doubts. They questioned the government's ability to actually implement and sustain the proposed $1 trillion in reductions. Historically, projected spending cuts often prove harder to achieve than anticipated. Political pressures, unforeseen crises, and the sheer inertia of government programs can all conspire to undermine such efforts. This widespread skepticism only amplified the concerns about the bill's long-term fiscal sustainability, adding another layer to the contentious debate surrounding it. With his departure from the Trump administration, Elon Musk has signaled a clear shift in his priorities. He intends to redirect his formidable energy and focus back to his private sector ventures. Companies like Tesla, the electric vehicle and clean energy giant, and SpaceX, the aerospace manufacturer and space transportation services company, demand significant attention. These are enterprises at the forefront of technological innovation, each with its own set of ambitious goals and complex challenges. Musk also plans to curtail his political involvement more broadly. He indicated he would reduce his political spending, stating that he felt he had already contributed enough to that sphere. The big beautiful bill, the very piece of legislation that precipitated Musk's resignation, remains a subject of intense debate. Its journey through the legislative process is far from over. Currently, Republicans in the Senate are grappling with its provisions. There is no consensus on the bill as it stands. Musk's public criticisms and his high-profile departure could potentially influence these ongoing deliberations. It is unclear exactly how his exit will shape the final form of the legislation, or if it will pass at all. His actions have certainly added another layer of complexity to an already fraught political negotiation, giving ammunition to those wary of the bill's fiscal implications. Some Republican lawmakers share Musk's apprehensions about the bill's impact on the deficit. Senators such as Ron Johnson and Mike Lee have been vocal in their calls for more aggressive spending cuts. Musk's departure might embolden these fiscal conservatives, strengthening their resolve to push for substantial changes to the legislation. They may see his resignation as a validation of their concerns. On the other hand, the White House and proponents of the bill are keen to secure a legislative victory. House Speaker Mike Johnson has urged senators to make only minimal changes, emphasizing the delicate balance achieved in the House version of the bill, and the difficulty of maintaining party unity. The White House, perhaps in an effort to demonstrate commitment to some of Musk's initial goals, is proposing rescissions. These would aim to solidify some of the spending cuts identified by DOGE during Musk's tenure. Specific examples include a proposed $1.1 billion cut from the Corporation of Public Broadcasting and an $8.3 billion reduction in foreign assistance. Whether these proposed cuts will be enough to sway skeptical lawmakers or address the larger concerns about the bill's overall fiscal impact remains to be seen. Musk's dramatic exit has undeniably left a mark, highlighting the persistent tension between ambitious policy goals and the hard realities of government finance. The echoes of his brief, turbulent tenure in Washington will likely resonate for some